let's just confirm before we get too deep that Jamie can hear us, or Joe.
Jamie, can you give us a shout if you can hear, please?
Yes, I can hear you perfectly.
Thank you
Perfect.
kindly.
So good evening and welcome to the March 11th, 2025 Zoning Board of Appeals regular monthly meeting for the Village of Ossining. This is a public hearing that is quasi-judicial. We're using a hybrid format for today's meeting with the public invited to attend either in person or online via Zoom. Members of the public attending online may use the raise hand feature at the appropriate time if you would like to make a comment. Those attending by phone can press *9 to raise your hand and we'll see that on our end. Comments may be emailed anytime during the meeting via plan@villageofossining.org. Still the same email?
Yes, sir.
Okay. The meeting will be recorded and a transcript of the meeting will be available at a later date. You can find this on our village website. And we've got two ground rules. When you come up to speak, please state your name and address, and you must be signed in. For those attending online, we'll have a record of you. Just make sure you state your name and your address. And please limit to your comments to the matter which is the subject of the hearing. So could we start off with a roll call of the board?
We sure can. Olga Montez. Here. Yay. Corey Block. Here. Michael Stoll.
Here.
Brian Granoff.
Here.
Erica Matias. Here. Chris Asensio.
Here.
And Chair Abarizic.
Here. All right, just a quick intro for those joining us today. Oh, Joe is there. Great.
Joe is here.
So we've got Maddie Zahak, she's our Assistant Village Manager, our ABM. We've got Joseph Agostinelli online, our Village Building Inspector. We have Jamie Kane with her camera off, although she's very beautiful, our Board Secretary. And we've got Taryn Ramey, our Assistant Land Use Attorney. No associate yet?
I think I'm just still assistant.
Okay.
I'm still the head honcho.
Okay, great. And so let's begin with our first meeting on the agenda. Could I get a motion to approve the minutes from last month's meeting?
Motion to approve the minutes, Brian.
Segment, Court.
Thank you so much. And if you attended last month's meeting, you can vote on the approval of the meeting minutes. So if there are no unanimous consent. There are no objections from those members who attended last month approving the last month's minutes. Those minutes are approved. Moving on to new business. First up, we have ZBA 24-2023. This is for an applicant seeking an extension to previously granted variances for signage for a Popeyes restaurant. I know everybody gets to see this stuff in advance on our website, but we have previously approved this application. They're asking for an extension there between the zoning board and the planning board. Was it the planning board or DOH?
They had to go to the planning board for site plan approval.
Great, and because the approvals were done on different timelines, their other request was extended, and so now we're working on ours. So unless there is compulsory evidence that we can't, this would be the time to bring it up.
All right, Mr. Davis is here representing the applicant. Mr. Davis, are you all by yourself tonight or is there someone else?
Yes, and I think there is somebody else here, but hopefully I won't need my engineer. So
Okay.
I represent Popeyes at 144 South Highland Avenue, and we received 2 sign area variances on the principal facade and then the secondary facade. We had requested that we be able to put a sign on the 3rd facade. That was denied. There has been some delay because the New York State Department of Transportation was greatly delaying things. There's been no change in anything with regarding the signage. And we ask that we receive an extension for 1 year.
Thank you, Mr. Davis.
I
And
tried to be brief.
the question that I was going to ask, which was, there's been no material changes, so
None at all, none whatsoever.
does anybody on the board have questions for Mr. Davis? All right. Could I get a motion to open the public
There's
hearing?
no public
Oh,
hearing,
that's right.
extensions, no factors.
Extensions, perfect.
Oh,
Yeah. Can you do this by unanimous consent, or does it have to be roll call vote?
We should do a motion in a second. and
Okay,
all
great.
that good stuff.
Could we get a motion to approve the extension of ZBA 24-2023?
Motion to approve Olga.
Seconded, Mike.
Coming in strong. Could we get a roll call vote, please?
Okay, Brian Granoff,
Yes.
Michael Spall,
Yes.
Corey Block,
Yes.
Erica Matias.
Nope.
No alternates today.
Oh, I'm
So
so sorry.
we'll not be
Okay.
voting.
Sorry.
This is the first time we've had everybody here, so,
Olga Montez.
Aye.
And Chair Abarizic.
aye. All right, Mr. Davis.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Bye-bye,
welcome.
thank you.
Have a good night.
Next up on the agenda is ZBA 06-2025 for 194 Spring Street. Applicant is seeking an area variance for proposing to extend a non-conforming use by legalizing additional livable space in the basement for a 4-family house located in the 2-family zone district. Can I ask Joe for background first or applicant first?
The applicant speak first.
Okay, great. How you doing, sir?
Very good, thanks.
Just give us your name and the address.
Guido Alvarez, 194 Spring Street.
Guido Alvarez. Thank you so much. And just share with the board what's going on, why you're here today, what you're looking to do.
Yeah, so this is, it was, in 2008 was, I applied for a permit to finish to legalize the basement. And it was approved and all that, but, for some reason it didn't, I didn't get the COO and all the last inspection was done by Mr. Inspector Lou Corais, that passed away. So I don't know what happened, but in the records, there's no COO for that. So I don't know if the final inspection was done, but I don't know if it was. But we now, you know, I'm starting the process all over again. So I was referred to this, you know, meeting to get, you know, the approval.
Correct me if I'm wrong. This was a 2-family district still in 2008. Is that correct?
I believe so.
So, because Joe, could you give us some background on this property? Just because there's a lot going on here.
Yeah, so I believe during a fire inspection, one of our assistant building inspector at the time went to the property and had observed that the space downstairs was created and there was no record, no C of O, nothing on record for it. And he had indicated on there that it was being utilized as additional space was being used and rented out. As the applicant had said, there is no C of O. I don't know if in 2008 what the process or what was being granted at that time, but in 2008 that district was also a 2-family zone district, and this house is already right now it's on record as a 4-family home. So to expand additional space, already what's the pre-existing non-conforming use would have required to come to the board for a variance even back in 2008, I believe. There's no record of that was ever done. So right now the space that's downstairs, and the applicant, I guess, can confirm that this space is already created. It's constructed already as is. Because he's trying to legalize this as it is now, but a violation was issued for the space that was created downstairs, and we had no C of O, no permit to use it.
Somebody living there, Joe?
I was just gonna ask, how many units are individually occupied right now?
It's supposed to be 4. The basement was placarded and shown not to be utilized because there was no record of any of the legal. It has to be legalized if they can, what they're applying here is for a variance. If they can't get approved for the variance, they would have to remove the basement. Because you can't expand more than 10% of a non-conforming use, and this is basically a 100% increase on 2 apartments.
So is there only 4 families living here right now, or?
Right now, it's showing as 4 families. Before, it was indicated in the violation that it was more than 4 families. It was being occupied and rented to almost as an apartment.
Okay. I saw you brought some papers up. I was just curious if you wanted to share something.
Yeah, yes. So I have this from 2008. So the building permit, and this is, and there was electrical final inspection. And there was also then,
Were
the
were
plumbing.
these part of the submission?
Not that
I did not see that.
saw.
Okay. One thing that's important, is we have to get these in the record for both the board to see, but also the public to be able to see if it's gonna be part of the record.
And I have also the drawings, which I think they have in record.
We have joined
Yeah.
here.
Yeah, we,
From 2008,
Oh, those are from 2008.
2008,
yeah,
these weren't the ones that were submitted,
That's
right?
not what we have here.
you probably have the last ones, the updated ones.
How do you want to deal with these?
So do you have copies of all of this? Or is this your only copy of these materials?
These are the only ones that I have.
Okay.
For-
Is
What
there
I would,
any-
su-
Sorry.
I was gonna say, what I would suggest for these, since they're your only copy, make a copy of these and submit that copy to, bless you, to the village planning department, because we need to put these in the record.
Okay,
But we also need time to actually read through them and look at them,
oh, okay.
yeah,
Okay,
and see how they work.
If you
yeah.
could, either take pictures or copies and send to the planning department, just so we can review them for the next meeting, because I think this will be important for your application.
yeah, I have copies of the drawings, but not the permits and all that.
Yeah, because the one thing I'm confused about without being able to read through that is if that was a two-family district before, you would have needed a variance at that time anyway. So if there's no record of,
Well, it's a legally non-conforming four-family,
okay,
so by virtue of being a non-conforming use, it's allowed to continue, so he can keep the four-family. From what I'm hearing, if he wanted to expand the basement by more than 10% back in 2008, he would have needed to obtain a variance.
Mhm.
I don't know if this code provision has been enacted subsequent to 2008. I'd have to go back and take a look. But that's what Joe's intention is.
So just for clarification of the record, it sounds as if you went before the building department itself, but you never went before this board or this predecessor to get this approved. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, I never been in a meeting that, I mean, I don't know if, I never was asked to do that. So I just, they gave me the permit and, we did the work.
okay.
But now when they went to fire inspection, they saw that, and they couldn't find the CO for
So,
the job, for the construction. So, but it's being used, the property is being used, as a finished basement all these years.
So can I propose that we adjourn so that there's time to submit
well,
additional paperwork?
I think we should ask more questions first, because if we send them away without addressing any of the concerns we might have about the application, then we would have to make him come back again or give him more time. So I think
Okay,
we should kind of go through the 5 factors. After we've asked questions, we should open up the public hearing.
Yeah, I think the board should absolutely discuss this application. If they have any questions or concerns, open the public hearing, adjourn it. But I do think this will have to be continued over to the next month, because this is very important information you're presenting.
Yeah.
The board hasn't had a chance to see it.
it's better for us to have everything.
And the one thing I will comment on,
I was gonna talk about the 90%.
I was just gonna mention, I think it might be helpful for the board to see a first floor plan to see how the basement will connect to the first floors of the layout. If you could provide that for the next meeting.
You have that, I just saw that, you have that, the new
So
proposed,
here's something that's confusing and why we might be asking. So if we go to the revised plans, on the top, see how it says area plans? It lists identical square footage for all 3 floors.
yes,
We need to know the square footage by apartment, and you're looking to make you're looking to split the first floor into a different configuration and add the basement to those with staircases. Is that correct?
yeah, so right now, the first floor and the basement are part of one apartment, because it's like side by side, 2 apartments side by side.
Duplex.
It's a 2-story, house.
So in order for the basement residents to enter, they gotta go through the first floor.
Yes, and also they have a back door to come out.
But they do have an exit. Out of
Yes,
the
yeah,
basement.
and egress.
Well, the thing is, it's built for 6 families. It's registered as 4 families, but there are 6 apartments.
No, it's 4 apartments.
But is the basement?
Oh, well, you
Basement,
are, you have it registered as 4 apartments. But what was observed when they did the fire inspection, that the downstairs is being utilized as 2 additional apartments. But that was the
No.
violation that was written.
No, that's not the case.
Is there a
The
separate
basement-
bathroom and kitchen in each of those
No.
basement?
The basements the first floor are connected with basements. So it's like one apartment. It is one apartment. It doesn't have a kitchen. It has a bathroom, but because it's on a different level. So it has a bathroom, but it's not, a separate unit or something like that.
What it sounds like he's saying is that the apartments are, the first floor is split into 2 apartments with a duplex combo. So this is one apartment, this is one apartment.
Yeah,
Each
we're just,
apartment
we're just
has,
trying to justify.
But he's
against the
really not
violation.
creating, 6 units, he's just justifying using the basement as a part of the second unit.
So. Sorry.
Well, what do you
I
think?
was gonna say
But can
something.
I ask the question,
ahead,
just to clarify this with the applicant?
Well, I think,
So,
I think there's
so
something
if-
that they need to understand.
Joe, hang
first,
on.
Yeah, Joe, hold on.
Is that there's a difference between how many units there are and how many families are occupying those.
Mhm.
Like, those are 2 separate issues, right? So they might have issued some type of violation for multiple families living in 1 unit, but that doesn't make it a 2-family, right? It's if it
So
only
you're saying that would be
has-
separate from the variance request?
They're not,
I don't know what the village laws are about occupying, what it is considered a family.
we don't take, we don't consider this family is not a consideration. It's not about the relationship between one individual and another, because apartments can be rented between friends, between people who live together, people who go to college together. Doesn't make them family. Family is a very broad, so we don't, that's not what's considered here. In
Love to
this
hear
case, I
that.
mean, the applicant has already said that he did not have a C of O for that basement to begin with, so it should have not been occupied if you don't have a C of O. That would be one violation, because you don't have one, and your permit that was issued, probably if you have one in 2008, is well expired. So that would be null and void at this point anyway. We can't verify what inspections were done and so forth. But the question that I have here is that when you show on the plan here, it appears to be, and I believe in your application, that you're trying to divide and add the same amount of square footage of the basement to each apartment on the first floor. But when you look at the layout of the basement, it doesn't appear that way. It appears what you're proposing to do is to, I'm assuming, modify what you're separating there, right? Because it appears to be that you're creating a new bedroom, a new closet, at least it's shaded in that way. I don't know if that was originally being used for the apartment on the left side and now is going to be on the right side, which makes the percentage of what you're increasing on the apartments different than what your application says. And 2, you're writing in there new window wells. Now, those window wells are to create proper egress for bedrooms. So if this is something you're installing now, then what you're saying to me was you got a permit to actually construct bedrooms in a basement that don't have proper egress right now.
Through the
So,
window like this?
In one of the apartments, yeah, in one of the apartments, but not the other ones, because the other ones that we are, it was like a playroom or like a family room that at that point, I guess it wasn't required. I'm not sure, because it doesn't show in the drawings that I have.
Yeah, and that's why we need to see those.
Yeah, it doesn't show. But
so I mean, you can propose whatever you're trying to do, and, obviously we have to go, and, the board would have to vote on the variance on it, but I think I'd like to do is, for clarification, it appears what you're showing in the layout here does not seem to match up with what your application is, because it looks like, and tell me if I'm wrong, that one apartment is going to get a lot more square footage added to it than the other apartment.
yeah, you're totally right, yeah, because the shaded area, it was part of the other side of the basement.
Which now you want to add to the right side.
Exactly, you're correct on that.
So you see those area plans at the top, that's that's
Oh,
not,
I don't-
that's not matching. That doesn't seem to
Oh,
match.
I see what, I didn't understand that.
And also on
Yeah,
your
yeah.
application, our zoning worksheet, when we're talking about livable floor area per dwelling unit, I don't know if those are accurate amounts. And I think a drawing with the square footage
Yeah.
for what's pre-existing now and what you're proposing to do would help clarify that.
Yeah,
What you're proposing is also a 90% change.
I believe that it's asterisk, it shows on the bottom of that worksheet, the percentages.
Yes, but it says 705, and then 705 times two. 1405, 1405, 705. When you add all these numbers together.
They don't seem to match that layout plan that he's showing there.
Exactly. Because they're identical to the foot. There's no way that they're the same. But I think the thing the board's gonna struggle with is you're only permitted a 10% change as of right to a prior non-conforming use. Trying to make sure I use the language properly. But you're asking for a 90%, which based on our limited research, we've never granted that much, but we've never granted anywhere close to that. So I actually don't know what a good recommendation would be since the space is already built out.
Again, I'd like to see the records that he has.
Yeah.
And I'd like to make sure on the village's side of things that we have all the information.
Yeah.
I wasn't aware of this part of the application. So that's kind of how I feel.
And we didn't even mention the parking.
Yeah.
Well, it's already a legally non-conforming
Yeah.
4 unit.
Yeah, just, and again, just for the board's clarification, he's not requesting a use variance to create 2 additional units. What Joe is saying is that the violation is alleging that the basement was being used as 2 units, so it's a legally non-conforming 4-family, but it was being used as a 6. We're not looking at that. The application is for a variance to extend the non-conforming,
Use into the
Unit-
basement as though it wasn't built out, but.
to allow a larger expansion of those units. So it's a little confusing, but we're looking at the increase in the size of the non-conforming units.
And with that being said, that wouldn't affect the parking because the way the code is for parking is it's 2 parking spaces for each dwelling unit. He's not increasing, what he's proposing is not to increase the dwelling units he already has.
Yeah, so we can't really look at parking because units are the same.
And
Yeah.
again, to the point, I guess I was trying to
And he's
raise
not
earlier.
expanding the area of the building on the property. It's all to do with internal and legalization.
Yeah.
Yes.
Looking at the plans you provide, the basement layout plan. Of what you're proposing to do in the basement to legalize it. I do think it would be helpful if you submit the first floor plan for the 2 duplex units, so the board can see how that space is being utilized. Because in the past, the board has considered how space is being utilized in terms of how to grant this variance. So I think the
Sure.
board's gonna wanna see how the entire layout of the whole unit.
Or
That makes sense.
that was, how it was utilized.
Everything on the left and everything on the right.
So here's what.
Basement first floor, basement first floor.
Here's what's definitely required. We should have a current floor plan layout for each of the floors.
Okay.
And then what I'm seeing here with the red and the shaded in areas on this plan, you're showing changes on top of these other considerations. So we need to see before and after,
Okay.
but we also need a copy of all those.
The whole was, okay.
Yeah, so I don't think we can vote today. There's a lot of outstanding.
Yeah.
You can certainly open the
Let me
public.
just ask one further question, just to clarify that, the owner, so what you're proposing in this plan is actually an alteration of the plan that you received in 2008. In other words, they're not the same plan, right? You're altering the space, okay? So,
That's
right, because what you said is the original plan, whether it was granted as a playroom and now gonna be bedrooms. There's bathrooms. I see you're installing new staircases from the first floor down to that space, more egress windows and window wells. So there is, this essentially is a new application of what you do in the basement. It's not like you're proposing, this is the basement, we built it in 2008 and there's nothing gonna be touched. You're actually planning also to do alterations.
Yes.
Yes, so this application currently only, correct me if I'm wrong, only covers legalization before any of those changes. I don't see anything in the applicant request that says. It says seeking an area variance for proposing to extend a non-conforming use by legalizing additional living space in the basement. But there's nothing about the changes. He's doing construction.
I see what you mean, yeah, so. At the end of the day, it's gonna be whatever, you have to present what you want the board to approve. Legalization plus whatever changes, because that has to get factored into the expansion of the non-conforming space.
But for clarification, to him, based on what Joe's saying, does he need to resubmit his application?
I think he needs to resubmit his plans, I think the application can still stand.
So are you saying our notice is what is not
No,
covered?
it's
in what-
He's not just legalizing the basement.
No, the notice
he's-
is correct, this is
Okay,
sufficient, he is legalizing the basement, just because he's proposing additional changes, that's not really material to the noticing aspect of this application.
But he does have to alter some of the information on it because it appears that the request of the variance and the percentages are gonna be different because that layout in the basement doesn't seem to match what's being requested 90%. One may
So-
be 60% and the other one may be 130%. I don't know.
so to help out, what we need is copies of those documents,
Okay.
photos or scans. And I would reach out to the planning department for additional clarification, just in case, so that you don't miss something. And then come back and we need something else from you.
Okay.
Joe's got a really good handle, or Joe's office has a really good handle on the back and forth.
Okay,
So scans and copies of those, reach out to village planning.
okay,
I think that's
and,
Um,
so it will be another meeting?
definitely.
Next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, before we vote. I do have one question, and forgive me if I've missed it. What's the interior height in the basement, floor to ceiling?
It's, I think it's 7 feet.
Okay.
Yeah, 7 feet, yeah. Yeah, because it was done according to the plan, to the plans of the architect.
It
Mhm.
says, 6'4" to the beam, 7'1¼ to the joists.
Yeah, in the basement, you're allowed to have us up to, you have to have 6'8" on the ceiling. You can have drop downs up to 6'4".
Wow. No tall people.
No,
So the state code regulations.
So this is definitely gonna have to get adjourned,
Mhm.
but does anybody have any questions for the applicant before we open the public hearing? Since this was noticed.
No.
All right, do we get a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion to open.
Seconded, Brian.
Hearing no objections. Public hearing is now open. Is there anybody online to speak on this application? Because we have nobody in person. Going once. Twice, could I get a motion to adjourn the public hearing?
Motion to adjourn, Brian.
And then Corey?
If there are no objections to adjourning, public hearing is now adjourned. We have to do the same for adjourning this matter, correct? Can I get a motion to adjourn ZBA 06-2025 till the next meeting?
Motion to adjourn, Olga?
Seconded, Brian.
And could we get a roll call vote on this adjournment?
Do
Do we need a roll call vote for the adjournment? No. If there are no objections, by unanimous consent, we are adjourning this application to the next regular scheduled meeting. So don't wait, because we don't want you to miss any deadlines. I think the deadline for the April meeting is coming up. Joe, when is the deadline for the April meeting?
I believe it's by next Thursday.
Yeah,
so
yeah, so definitely don't.
Give them
don't miss
copies
that.
of everything.
I
that you
start
have.
get everything.
Mhm.
up, you know,
All right,
And just bring it up there.
Yeah.
Mhm.
thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thanks so much. I appreciate it.
Good night.
Thank you.
And continuing business of the board, we have ZBA 07-2024 for 3 Marble Place. Applicant is seeking area variances for the front yard setback for the front porch and side yard setback to the rear yard patio roof structure. Just as a reminder for those who were here, we've seen this application several times. They were here, was it in February or January? It was February.
They were here in February.
Yeah, they were just here.
Whatever month I
This,
wasn't.
this is the roof that they were replacing, non-conforming. It was 0.7 feet as proposed away from the edge of the neighbor's property. It looks like they made changes and submitted revised plans. We had already approved the other porch, so we're just looking at this corner porch, which we'll see up there.
Gabrielle, can you hear us and can you turn your camera on?
Yeah, I hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
It says that you gotta give me permission for the camera. Good evening, everybody. Sorry I couldn't be there today.
I think you have permissions.
Okay, it's not coming on.
All right, is there, Gabrielle, anyone else who's meant to join you on the Zoom call, or are you all on your own?
No, it's just myself, basically, whatever we just heard from the board, we made an adjustment and I guess we made the variance, less substantial from 7.3, we just need the variance of 4 feet, so, as per recommendation, we moved the roof 3.3 feet in line with that path there, and I think that's pretty much it.
Maybe, could you zoom in more to that porch
Oh,
in the
sure.
corner?
I thought you were sending me someplace else.
No, I'm sorry. Just to help
Yeah.
refresh people's. So we're looking at the bottom left, 2-story frame dwelling.
Yeah, that corner where you have that cutout.
That roof that they're replacing was less than a foot
Was
away.
closer to the property line, so we pushed it over 3.3 feet,
It was 0.7.
and therefore variance needed is 4 feet.
So with that change, does anybody on the board have questions? I know that Corey and I had questions about this previously. Do you have any questions?
I wasn't here for this.
Oh, it's been a few times, so I don't.
I think this is the first time I've seen it.
Can you show us the picture of it previously? That might help people remember
Yeah,
which one this was.
about to say. If something is.
I think when you see the photo, you're gonna be like, oh, yeah.
No,
Yeah, that's
Remember? Okay.
the second picture.
This
And you
one.
go up.
Yeah, that one we approved. But
Okay,
that's
so the one
There
which has
there it
a,
is. It's that picture that says Tyvek against the wall, that's the roof
Right.
structure in front of it.
So
Okay.
pretty much the board had asked them for a feasible alternative. The feasible alternative we were recommending was pushing that roof further away from the neighbor's property because our contention was it's not actually needed. They have porch in front, they have patio space. And so they made that change. So now that when they're rebuilding this, because they're upgrading the structure or making it better. Don't have terms, they pushed it back.
Okay, that makes sense.
Long story short, it used to be a lot closer to the property line. Now it's
Not so much.
further away.
Just on the side or rear of the property?
It's
It's the side yard.
Side yard setback.
it's a side, it's one side.
The property has an L-shaped cutout into it.
Okay.
Like that's a weird shape. Any questions? All right, could I get a motion to open the public hearing?
Motion to open the public hearing, Brian.
Seconded, Olga.
If there are no objections to open the public hearing, hearing is now open. Is there anybody here to speak about 3 Marble Place? Was that everybody?
That's it.
And I don't see anyone in person. Could I get a motion to close the public hearing?
Motion to close, Corey?
Seconded, Brian.
All right, if there are no objections, the public hearing is now closed. Could we run through the 5 factors on this, please?
So as the board knows, in determining whether to grant the applicant's request for an area variance, the board must balance the benefit to the applicant with any detriment to the health, safety, and welfare of the community. In doing so, the board must consider 5 factors. First factor the board must consider is whether granting the requested variance would produce an undesirable change in the character of the neighborhood or be detrimental to nearby properties.
I think the change has allowed this to be less detrimental to nearby properties. And I also think their rebuilding of this structure to kind of modern or contemporary standards is going to be a benefit.
Agreed, it looks like they're improving on the property.
The next factor is whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than the area variance.
This is something I previously had a problem with, so I think they satisfied feasibility by making a compromise to push it further away from the neighbor's property. It is actually much better than it is currently, so they're actually improving it closer to the code.
And if they made it any smaller, it wouldn't really be functional.
Correct.
So it's not feasible. The next factor is whether the requested area variance is substantial.
numerically, but not impact. I think it's a 50% request.
Because it's being reduced, it's.
Yeah.
Visually going to be making it better. Or reducing impact, I should say.
The next factor is what the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district.
No, it's an improvement.
And finally, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which is relevant to the board's decision, but not necessarily dispositive.
I don't do the size and configuration of the lot, specifically the configuration where the L hits that door. I don't think it's self-created, especially with the improvement they made.
Those are your factors.
All right, it seems like we're leaning towards approval, so could I get a motion to approve?
Motion to approve, Brian.
Seconded.
All right, we get a roll call vote, please.
Okay, Brian Granoff,
Aye.
Michael Spall,
Aye.
Cory Block,
Aye.
Olga Montes,
Aye.
and Chair Aberrizak.
Aye. All right, Gabrielle, you're almost there, the finish line. Thank you for coming back again.
Thank you
Just
very
wait-
much. I appreciate it.
Just please wait for
Thank
the
you.
resolution from the planning
For
office.
30 days. Yes. Thank you very much.
You're
Have a
welcome.
good evening, everybody.
All right, that is it for what's scheduled for today. I did want to address the last two adjourned matters, just so everyone's aware. For Erica and for Chris, you weren't here when this change took place, and I'm actually wondering if you were here for this, Corey, but we changed our, we adopted a resolution. And I just wanted to remind everybody about the resolution. We're not taking any action today. I just wanted to let you know what's going on. So the resolution we passed is in line with what the planning board does, and it pretty much allows us the ability to remove things from the agenda if they're sitting on there for a really long time. In the past, this was an issue because people could park things at different boards or court, and it could go on forever. We're just trying to streamline things and make it more efficient. So right now, 133 State Street, we had last month asked them for more stuff. So we're probably, unless we see them before May, this is just gonna stay on there. And Snowden Ave,
So Riverwalk was taken off the planning board agenda because it's been sitting for a very long time. And since it's no longer in front of the planning board, there's really no avenue for it to be coming here.
exactly,
So I would recommend that this would come off the agenda.
right. So let me read, actually, I think I printed one for all of you guys, so you could take it with you.
I agree with that.
Oh my goodness.
There we go. Thank
Oh,
you.
we're gonna-
If I read this at you, it's a lot of stuff.
I love that.
Thank you.
Also hole punched, that's more my jam, but.
I know. it's a lot of people to do.
Thank you.
Also, thank you for Karen sending these to me earlier today.
Yeah.
So for the benefit of the record, because this is a public meeting and it's recorded, I'm just gonna read through it if you wanna follow along. So whereas on advice from the planning department and the village's professional consultants, the zoning board of appeals wishes to formally adopt the following procedural rule. Any application before the board which has been adjourned without appearance and substantive discussion will be removed from the board's agenda after the third adjournment. Pretty much if we adjourn 3 times and there's no material changes, we have the option to remove from the agenda. Provided, however, that the board shall have the authority to vary this rule at its discretion, because we're here for the in-between cases anyway, so it's up to us. Applicants who have been removed from the agenda may be restored to the agenda upon 1, submitting materials addressing all open issues and questions raised by the board or its staff and consultants, and 2, re-noticing the application in the same manner as if it were a new application. If an applicant does not submit the required materials and renotice the application within 1 year, the board shall have the option of deeming the application abandoned, and that is different than adjournment. At the discretion of the board and upon notice to the applicant, any application that has been adjourned and removed from the board's agenda for 3 consecutive months may be deemed abandoned, or the board may proceed to decide the application based on the materials already submitted. So if we find ourselves in a position where we have everything we need to make a decision and the applicant's not here, in that case, we could choose to actually just decide the application. Any application that is deemed abandoned may be withdrawn. An applicant may be restored to the agenda only upon submission of a new application to the board together with the required filing fees and supporting materials. Don't need to read the last paragraph.
No.
So does anybody want to does anybody need any discussion on ZBA 12/2023? That's adjourned matter B.
Does it
Um,
mean that case is like no longer moving forward?
Well, the thing is, we don't operate in a vacuum, so for this, it's a new building, and so if they're no longer on the planning board agenda, we can't, them coming before us makes no sense, and it makes no difference.
So the board couldn't vote on this anyways because secret hasn't been completed and the planning board's the agency and that whole thing.
Yeah.
But the board can certainly determine to remove this from the agenda. The only way they can come back is if they make it back on the planning board agenda anyways.
Yes.
And for the record, the applicant is aware that at least before planning, they've been removed from the agenda. And if they want to come back again within a reasonable period of time, they can do so, but they will need to renotice.
And they'll
If
be
it ex-
notified of
yes,
this, yeah.
yeah. So I would like to ask for a motion to, what is the proper term for this?
To remove Riverwalk from the agenda.
To remove ZBA 12/2023 from our adjourned matters and from our agenda. Did I get a motion for that?
So moved. Or
Se-
motion to remove, I have to say the whole thing,
No,
right?
you don't. You can say it. So moved.
Okay, I did.
So moved, Olga,
Seconded, Brian.
seconded by Brian. For
And
this, doesn't,
that's-
no? Okay, if there are no objections to removing this from the agenda, hearing none, we are removing ZBA 12/2023, and we will let the applicant know. Can I get a motion to adjourn our meeting today?
Motion to adjourn our meeting, Brian.
Second and Corey.
All right, by unanimous consent, there are no objections, meeting is adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Appreciate it.
Yes.